Okay.
I'm having a nice chat with the upcoming violin soloist with the Santa Barbara Symphony. Nir Cabaretti is coming back to town. Everybody, even all of you that are in Southern California, the whole Southern California area. Our conductor of the Santa Barbara Symphony Orchestra, Nir Cabaretti, very busy man, and has been. We've had guest conductors for the past couple of concerts. He's been in Europe and in Rome and wherever else he travels. So we're looking forward to this coming concert on March 14th, Saturday evening, and March 15th, Sunday afternoon. Saturday evening, the 14th at 8 o'clock. Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock on March 15th in the sort of gloriously ornate Granada Theater in downtown Santa Barbara. The concert is entitled Impressions of Spain, and we'll talk about that with my guest, who is in Philadelphia as we speak. I suppose, have you had to shovel much, or are you okay?
Oh, man. I can't personally shovel, but I'm sliding around my driveway as a result.
Still
It's,
pretty
it's
bad out there, huh?
quite a difference from Fort Myers last week. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. I'm with Elissa Lee Koljonen, violinist. She will be playing the Lalo Symphony Espagnole with the Santa Barbara Symphony, and as she indicated, she just recently played it with Nir Cabaretti with the Fort Myers Symphony, the Southwest Florida Symphony Orchestra. And did I get phone number? The phone number for tickets on the 14th and 15th, coming up of March, is at the Granada Theater box office, area code in Santa Barbara, 805. Telephone number is 899-2222. And here's the program. Wonderful idea. Massenet, the music to El Cid, to the ballet El Cid, a suite by Massenet to that ballet. Rimsky-Korsakov, Capriccio Espagnol. And finally, the all five movements. Sometimes people cheat and play only three of these five movements, but the really no kidding Symphonie Espagnole of Lalo in D minor. What the French have with D minor, I don't know. Franck and the D minor symphony got me. And also the French have this, Bizet, Lalo have this thing about Spanish. It's probably something about taking their vacations in Spain right next or something like that. But let's just kind of start at the beginning, if you don't mind. Elissa, sorry. Um, I'd like to kind of know, you apparently were born in Philadelphia and then had little travel adventures as a babe, and then back. Give me a little overview of your youth, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. So I was born in near Philadelphia. My parents both attended the Curtis Institute of Music, and they met there. And when I was just under a year old, my father was appointed the principal clarinetist of the Hong Kong Philharmonic. So, we packed up and moved over there. My little
Yeah.
suitcase I took aboard, and I spent the next 6, 7 years in Hong Kong, and then I moved to Korea for a couple of years, and I ended up actually coming back to Philadelphia at around age 12 to study at Curtis myself with Aaron Rosand. So
Aha.
back to my roots here.
Exactly, and so mom and dad couldn't be prouder as graduates of Curtis, yes, to have
That's
their daughter also attend Curtis. Um, Clarinetist, I was a clarinetist
oh
once upon my youth, and then I thought, conducting's a whole lot more fun. So anyway, we'll talk about that some other day. But my question is, you studied with whom there?
I studied with Aaron Rosand
Aaron
at
Rosand, as you said, yes. And this idea, this is kind of old school fiddle playing, is it? And what is that? It's kind of hard to pin something as obtuse as that.
yeah. It is hard to pinpoint, and it's like a almost sadly disappearing tradition of a personal style of playing that I grew up listening to and was you know so greatly inspired by with my teacher and with all the old recordings of Henrik Schering, Milstein, Heifetz, Kogan, all these great players that nowadays many young people seem to not even know the names of,
Mm.
which I feel very sad about sometimes. But I feel so fortunate to have studied with Aaron Rosand. As I grew up, he was one of my idols, and I used to sit on my school bus, at age 7, 8, 9, and like listen to his recordings and dream of, meeting him someday. And I couldn't believe my luck when he came to Korea one summer, and I attended a master class of his, and he invited me to come audition at Curtis. So thus the relationship began, and now he's like a second father to me, and I'm constantly inspired and in awe of him.
You
So
know, you play all over the world, but what is it about Philadelphia? Just a sense of home, or it's a busy, brilliant, wonderful, artsy city? Just give me an idea. How come people stay kind of where they stay? What is that?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I just kind of by default, I think, ended up back in Philadelphia through Curtis. And as I stayed at Curtis for, I think, 9, 10 years. I was one
Yeah.
of these lifers that never left. And then just as I was getting ready to leave, I was playing more concerts around, and I thought it would be the right thing to do to base myself somewhere else, like or I went to the Cape Islands Chamber Music Festival with the pianist Samuel Sanders, and he, by chance, introduced me to my husband, who was then joining the Philadelphia Orchestra. So I ended up back in Philadelphia, and now my husband is the director of Curtis. So we are forever affiliated with Curtis, and it's
Wait a
somehow
minute. Hold it. Hold it. Hold
yeah,
it.
still here.
Give me a timeout. We're having a little, the usual Skype
Too much
problems, but
information at once.
things will settle in. So your husband, oh boy, is the director of the Curtis Institute of Music.
Forever linked to Curtis, I am.
So is he a problem?
He's not home right now, so let's see.
And you're raising a family, as your wonderful bio says, part of the year, half of the year you're raising your
Me too.
kids. Oops, we're getting in each other's way. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I
Finish.
didn't hear you about. I am trying to balance raising my kids and doing what I do, and trying to help out a little bit at Curtis when I can, but just a kind of a balancing act.
It's a tough and wonderful life, and well, I just said it. It's a tough and it's a wonderful life, isn't it? To
It's
make
really wonderful. Those are the perfect 2 words to describe.
to make music,
Right.
to make a living making music, giving people pleasure and and intellectual stimulus and all the rest of it. Now, speaking of intellectual stimulus, this is my segue. Give me a little chat about this amazing concerto that is concerto slash symphony, the Symphonie Espagnole of Edouard Lalo, 1875, I think. Um, 5
Well,
movements.
yeah,
You're going to play all 5, yeah?
yeah. I am. Yeah, well, I hope to anyway. It's such a great honor to get to play this piece, and it's such a thrill. It was actually, for me personally, one of the first concertos I ever performed in public with orchestra when I was 15 or so, and and I actually didn't play it for a number of years, and it's just so exciting to come back to it as an adult. So it's. I think it's one of the great works, and it's dedicated to the great Pablo di Sarasate, and with good reason, with his incredibly colorful, passionate style of playing. Many wonderful composers actually dedicated their concertos to him, such
Mm.
as Saint-Saëns and Dvorak and Bruch, I believe. And so Lalo, I personally don't understand why this piece is not played more because it's such a thrill to play and it's such a thrill to listen to, I think, as well.
Mhm.
But it's got such Spanish flavor and just such diversity through the piece, and it starts and it doesn't stop till the end, basically.
That
You know,
might be why.
yeah. There's no time to breathe, and I
S-
often think when I'm playing this piece, I have to tell myself to breathe and to swallow, and to remember that there's
and
yeah.
it's a virtuosic work, obviously dedicated to Sarasate. I've had a look at the score this afternoon while doing a little prep for this interview, and I thought, that's why this is a bear to learn. Really, isn't it? It's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard.
it definitely is, and I'm very grateful for the fact that I played it as a youth because there are some pieces I think that one can learn as an adult. I play the Walton and the Korngold Concerto often, and I think my first
Mm.
experience with these pieces was probably my late teens, early 20s, and that was fine. But if I had learned the Lalo as a young adult, I think I would probably suffer a little bit more now playing it. But thankfully for me, I have the muscle memory and just the I don't know, emotional memory of playing the piece when I'm on stage, and that makes all the difference to have it there from you know I won't say how many decades ago. So, but it definitely is, it does have its challenges. And I realize as I play this piece that it's a very different experience than playing even the Tchaikovsky or the Walton, because it takes a different kind of stamina and focus. There's not 1 second to let your mind wander.
Also, the beauty, you mentioned that you learned this and other pieces. Did you mention the Korngold as a kid? You learned the Korngold. Oh, God, I love that concerto.
Oh yeah, it's
Uh,
such a great piece to
but the
play.
idea of learning it as a kid, when you're impetuous and you're talented and you're gifted and it all, your memory's great and all that. But and of course, it's all of that is still there, I'm sure. But the idea of returning to a piece as an adult, when you
Yeah.
really start to decipher the meaning of these works, it's wonderful, isn't it, or
It's
not? I mean,
wonderful.
coming back to the Lalo, how often do you play it, or was it just kind of for this sort of occasion in Fort Myers
Yeah,
and here?
I actually missed playing it over the years. I think I didn't play it for about 10 years or so, maybe even 15. And I always thought about it. I always missed the Lalo because it was one of my favorite pieces to perform. So I was so happy when this opportunity came up
Mm.
to play with Near in Fort Myers and then again in Santa Barbara next week. And like I said, it's just such a thrill. So I hope, to have many more opportunities to play it
Mm.
in the near
And
future.
and all of us in Santa Barbara, near Cabaretti has been such an important conductor for this orchestra in Santa Barbara. Give me a little peek, give us all here in Southern California a little idea of what is the Fort Myers. That's the Southwest Florida Symphony that near Cabaretti. He's having his first season, I think, as music director and conductor there. And what's the ambiance, if you will, there? How are the people receiving him, and how was the performance received of the
Oh,
Lalo?
wonderfully, just wonderfully. As soon as I arrived, the person who picked me up in the car was just raving about him, and
Mm.
I could completely understand why when I first met him. He was just so warm-hearted and friendly and, welcoming and genuine. And then as a conductor, I just felt a great connection to him. And it's so wonderful when you feel that kind of non-communicative necessity, or is that the right way of putting it? Just a musical connection where
Mm.
you don't need to voice or say what you want, and the person just senses it. And so with him, I definitely felt that connection, and we understood each other's intentions in the Lalo, and I could have the freedom to be spontaneous and to express myself differently from one you know rehearsal to the next, um, without any you know without him flinching. So I loved performing with him. It's not like an experience that one has all the time with a conductor where you can just feel free to completely be yourself. So, um, it's always nice when there's more than one chance to work with someone and more than one performance of a piece. So it was so nice to, walk off stage and say, "Oh, see you in Santa Barbara," and third movement tempo, good. All right, let's and
Yeah,
rehearse this, rehearse that, and get another chance to do it. So I was I just really enjoyed working with him so much.
that's
Yeah.
wonderful. And just watching you, just in the past couple minutes, you'll forgive me for embarrassing you, perhaps, but the tremendous vivacity, if that's the right word, the tremendous energy and vigor of your expression, and that's exactly the Lalo. It's very moody, it's very imageric, if I'm using some of the right words, and you really need as you said before we taped, a real collaboration, a tight collaboration between conductor and soloist to get all of that magic to work.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, no question about it.
Well, Lisa, Elisa, I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm going to take just a moment. I'm going to kind of go through the materials once again. Is it, and I always mispronounce your first name, Elissa Lee, or is
Yeah.
it Elisa Lee?
Yep. There's no one way to say it.
Okay, Elissa Lee Koljonen. At least I've got that right. That's a
It's great.
Finnish name with a J in there. My Spanish may have helped me on that one. Elissa Lee Koljonen is going to be here in Santa Barbara to play the all five movements of the Lalo Symphony Espagnole. Uh, with the Santa Barbara Symphony Orchestra and Near Cabaretti. They'll be old friends by then. They played played this work together in Fort Myers recently. And also on that program, hang on, let me find my notes. Also on that program, we're talking Saturday evening, March 14th, Sunday afternoon, March 15th at the Granada Theater in downtown Santa Barbara. Massenet, music to the ballet El Cid. and Rimsky-Korsakov. You can't get any more exciting than that. The Capriccio Espagnol, followed by the Lalo, or at some point the Lalo Symphony Espagnol will be performed. Area code 805-899-2222. Somehow I got through all that. Let me thank you again very much for giving me time in your late evening, really, there in Philadelphia. Looking forward to meeting you. Looking forward to hearing the Lalo. It's been, I don't think I've ever heard the piece performed live, come to think of it.
Oh,
So that'll be a treat.
honored.
Right. Very well. Thanks much for your time. We'll see you in a week or so.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.